Nice. Okay. Kambua, you ready?
I'm very ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another session of The Playhouse. This is me with Mike Saitos. First of all, I've been dissed how I've only been having men, and Kambua has told me I've been having men's fellowship.
It's men's fellowship here at
the Playhouse.
At the Playhouse.
But behind the scenes, I have been begging you for a long time to come.
This is true.
That is true. But
as you've been begging me, I've been hoping to see more women.
Oh, yes.
So,
yeah.
anyway.
And other women are hoping to see more women.
I know.
Okay, but anyway, thank you so much for being here. Yeah. I am so excited to hear your life's journey, and I know so many people are. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for none other than Kambua.
Hey.
Children, join together, we're far.
Every day, in every way, I give thanks to the Father. Oh Lord.
Hear the children, join together, we're far.
I love it.
I do my own sound effects.
It's Corona times. I get it.
No, actually, budget is not tight. God is good.
Amen.
Kambua, let's kick this off. And my first question, always on the Playhouse, I like going to the genesis of your love for music.
Yeah.
So I always start by asking, when did you fall in love with music?
I fell in love with music from as young as when I could understand what music was, because I grew up surrounded by a lot of music. My parents were and are both music lovers. My dad used to play the guitar from his college days. So I grew up listening to my dad play the guitar. I grew up listening to his records, and he just listened to everything from reggae to country music. And then my mom, who has always been the church girl, brought the gospel music element. So music surrounded us growing up. We sang a lot of hymns at home in Kikamba, in Kiswahili, Tenzi za Rohoni. We sang in English. So it was around me everywhere. So I'd say it became, even if I hadn't wanted it, it was a part of my DNA that I couldn't get away from. But I just simply started to gravitate towards opportunities that allowed me to sing or to be surrounded by music in one way or another.
What? I love that beginning already. Okay, I want to understand Kambua a bit more, the person.
Yeah.
So, siblings?
I have two brothers, an elder one and a younger one. So I'm the sandwich.
Hey, and you're the one who they protect.
Protected.
Nice. And then this time when you're saying growing up, where were you born? Are you in Nairobi? Are you abroad? Are you in?
I was born in Nairobi, born and raised in Nairobi. Went to school in Nairobi, moved a little bit outside Nairobi for high school. I was in Kenya Academy.
Let's even before high school, primary.
Primary, I was in Kianda School.
Oh, you're in Kianda School?
Yes.
And at this time, are you participating in?
I would lead songs during mass. and we had mass every other day. It's a Catholic school. We would take part in music festivals. I was always part of the choirs. So there was that musical aspect at school. There was that musical aspect at church as well. We were members of Sitam Valley Road at the time. So in Sunday school, and then graduated into Fortress. I was singing in the youth choir. So just everywhere. And then of course back home there was music. So around me in every way, I was involved in music.
And who are you listening to at this time?
I was listening to, so gospel integrity music was really big. I was listening to Ron Kenoli, Alvin Slaughter, Don Moen. Away from gospel, I loved Lucky Dube.
Lucky Dube, that's not what I was meant to hear. But
yeah, I didn't think so. I've always had a love for reggae music. I think my dad made me fall in love with reggae music. I was also listening to a lot of country. I love Jim Reeves. I love Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton. So these are the people that I grew up listening to. And then, of course, now the pop sound, there was a lot of Whitney that I was listening to, Mariah Carey that I was listening to. And then now, eventually, later on, in my later years, I started getting introduced to African artists. And that's where my love finally found its home.
Okay, so you then get introduced to the African sounds, because all this time ni Majiu too.
Majiu too.
Majiu.
Praise God.
Okay, so tell us about this season of being introduced to African.
So, and this came, like, I feel like it came much later. Like I was, when I first intentionally listened to an African artist, I was done high school. They were playing, I think Yvonne Chaka Chaka were playing, Billy Abel, all these people were playing, but I'd never intentionally been introduced to one and listened to their music. So I finally, and it's Mbuvi who introduced me to, the first person he introduced me to was Angelique Kidjo. And I was like, what is this? Like, she's just different, you know? Her music there was life in her music that I hadn't heard with anybody else. And it wasn't even, I didn't even have the runs and those maduidos that a lot of music had, but it has so much life. And then I now started doing my own digging, and I found Kajanin, who I just think is brilliant. And I connected with Kajanin because, and if you listen to my music, I'm a lover of straight singing. I've never been, no, I can listen to it and I appreciate it. But it's never been something that I've wanted to do, like, oh my gosh, I need to learn this run, or it's never been me. But I'm very drawn to just power singers who can hold a note. And that was Kajanin for me, that she could sing, sometimes like she's whispering, but it commands such a presence. So then I started listening to Yusundu and Salif Keita, who I bumped into one time, and it completely made my day.
Which we're going to talk about.
Which we'll talk about. I later got to jump on stage with Angelique Kidjo later on, which we can talk about. That happened completely by chance. But I started to listen to these artists, and they started to influence the direction that I wanted my music to take.
Amazing. Okay, let's go back. Phew, I like this whole jumping thing. Okay, so you finish primary. Can I ask what year about when this is, just for context of time?
Okay, so you can count my years. It's fine. I finished.
no, so that somebody watching this in 2050 gets an understanding.
That's true, because I could have started standard 1 when I'm like 12 years old. You know, you never know. Anyway, I finished class 8 in 1998. Yes.
Okay, so after that, now you go, and at this time, are you thinking, hey, I really love music. Music is the direction I'm going, or are you just finding your way?
At this time, I'm really just loving it. I'm not even thinking that at that time that I'm even allowed to think of it as this is what I want to do. So I'm not thinking of it as a career. I just know that I'm really in love with this thing called music. But I know, like, especially my dad was a professional, you know, he was a lecturer, he was a professor. So I knew that I am expected to take certain paths in life. So even getting into high school, I was doing music more intentionally, and I completely dived into this thing. But I knew that after high school, I need to go study business administration or something, you know. My dad was an economist at the time. So it wasn't, it was like just a hobby that I really love. Okay. Not a career.
So where did you go to high school now?
I went to Kenya Academy.
And now boarding?
Yes.
Okay.
So I went to boarding school because when I was in Kianda was like a walking distance from my house. And whenever I got into trouble, my mom would walk to school and, you know, drop by. And I felt like I just wanted to be far from home, you know. I wanted to be far. I wanted to experience life. And so it took a bit of convincing, because I remember even when we were doing our entrance exams to go to high school, my folks made me do LCVR, which was again not true, but it's like in the vicinity.
Your folks are a bit protective, right?
I'm the only girl, yeah. So I did Kianda still, even as I was protesting. And then I did Msongari, you know, like, can we just work with the schools around here? But I'm like, no, I really want to go to boarding school. And then what worked for me was my dad was also like, I want to switch the system from 844 to GCE. So, and then somewhere in there, they said, okay, we can go to boarding school if it's not too far. So Lukenya is actually not too far out of Nairobi. And I loved it. It was boarding school. It was different. It was a mixed school. I had done 8 years of exclusively girls' school. So it was just a completely different experience. But I loved it because I then got to also make friends from all over the world, literally. But more importantly, Kambua, who had always been an extremely shy, and I still am, but I had been extremely shy. In high school, I started to slowly come out of my shell. So I would do a presentation during school thingies, whatever it is, if it's a church service or whatever, and it started to build my confidence, because now I had a fan base, you know, in school. I had a fan base. If there's an event, they're like, Kambua will sing for us. Nice. Know? So they believed in me, they cheered me on, and it gave me that confidence to be, okay, I can be on stage and I can sing for people, and they appreciate what I'm doing. So that was a very important time for me.
And let me ask, at this time, are you born again?
So I got born again when I was really young. When I was in primary school, actually, and it's my mom who led me to Christ. My mom is a minister. I think I mentioned that.
Yes.
So my mom led me to Christ, and then, you know, Sunday school helped me continue to groom me in my faith. Then when I got into high school, I sort of got into a crisis in my faith, where I suddenly realized that I was saved, but I don't know why I'm saved. It's sort of like, it's like it had come with a package, you know. You're in this family, so exactly. we get saved in this family, we get baptized.
That's so cool, though.
It's cool. But I really wanted to understand why and what it means. So I can't say, I won't say that I backslid, but I started to question my faith. And I questioned it to like the very basic, what does it mean to say Jesus is Lord and Savior of my life? And it was also during that time, towards the end of my years in high school, that I now decided I want to follow Jesus Christ for myself, not for my mom, not for my dad, not for my pastor. For me, I want to follow him. I want to know him for myself.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Why I was asking that is just sort of to also understand the basics of your music, because of being born in a Christian family. Did you make that decision for yourself? Okay. Anything else that you feel like is worth sharing about your high school days on your musical journey? At this time, are you like more thinking, this music thing, I want it long term? Yeah.
So my high school life, because of now the exposure we were getting from time to time, you go for a music festival with other schools and whatever, it did start to feel like I really want to do this thing more, you know. But what is the more? What can I explore? Again, I was still very cautious, like, what am I allowed to explore? So high school, I knew it was making more sense, but I still didn't feel like I had a green light to, okay, I want to be a singer, you know. I also, and it wasn't just the music, I just felt alive in the arts. I felt alive on stage, acting, you know. So and I had people used to go to Phoenix. I'm like, what is Phoenix? I want to go to Phoenix. So
so you're an actor as well now in high school. This is the stage where now you begin exploring more than just Kambua the musician.
Yes, I started to be Kambua the girl on stage who's acting as well. So now the time that I feel was defining was after finishing high school. That period where you're
2002?
I don't know. You do the math for
98
me.
plus 4. It's 2002.
Okay, thanks. So it's that period where you haven't yet gone to college. You have a lot of time on your hands. I started to explore avenues for my creative side to get nurtured. So I had the auditions for Phoenix. I went for those. I didn't make it. And I remember it was a rainy day. I got there, I had my tope, but I was like, I'm going. And I auditioned and I didn't get through. So here's the thing. I cannot dance to save my life. And Phoenix at the time, or maybe for that particular production, you had to be a really good dancer, a really good singer, and a really good actor. So I could act, I could sing, I could not dance. I couldn't dance. I did not make the audition. A friend of mine called Andrew Mudhure, who's an actor here in Kenya. One time he came to me and Drew said, have you ever thought of acting? I'm like, yeah, but I tried. He's like, just come, we have auditions. I'm acting with Heartstrings. We have auditions. Our lead actress dropped out. Why don't you come and try out? I'm like, okay, I mean, it doesn't have time. So I went to Heartstrings at Allianz, and I was given a script, and the director tells me, okay, you have a few minutes to look over these lines and then come and act it out. His name is Victor Bear. And so I did it, and I walked in and did my lines. He's like, okay, we start rehearsals tomorrow. And I was like, it was one of those auditions, those situations where I wasn't really coming to get it. I just wanted to make my friend happy, so we move on. Now I have a job.
And you're the lead actor. You're the lead female actor.
Yes. And I'm looking at this script. This thing is like thick, So, but maybe 844 preps us for cramming. I crammed that thing.
It does.
So,
can you remember the name of the play that you were doing?
It was called Funny Business. Funny Business. So we did that, and then we did another one.
And what was the role of Funny Business? I'm just trying to understand your versatility in acting.
Gosh, what was my role? I vaguely remember being.
It's all good. It was 2002. I understand.
It's a long time ago.
Okay. So what happens now?
We did that, and then that opened up to another one, because once you started, leads to another and leads to another, because I said, oh, she can do it. She's available. So I was doing these shows.
But hold on, I don't want to pass over that first time on stage. How was it? I mean, this is the first time that you're acting not for school. This is like your debut performance.
It was like my debut. I just remember being, one, I was terrified, but I was also very excited, and the excitement was more than the terror. So the fear was like the fire in my belly for, here's my opportunity, I have to really do this thing and do it well. And I remember when we did our first show and we got a standing ovation. I was like, we did it, I did it. I did not faint on stage. I didn't forget my lines, because those are my biggest worries, we pulled it off. The audience was laughing. The scripts were brilliant. I don't know how Heartstrings used to be able to get such well-written scripts that would make people laugh from the beginning to the end. So guys really enjoyed it. But as I was doing these things, I was not telling. My parents didn't know where I used to stay. They just thought she's maybe with her friends at the youth group or something. I was not telling them, because I kind of, at the back of my head, I thought my dad won't really approve of this, these things that I'm doing. So I kept it on the DL, but then I didn't know that they would start advertising these shows on the newspaper. So that's in one day I've come home, and there's a newspaper wide open on Apple in front of my mom. She's like, so you're an actress now? Like, yeah. This is like, we're like on the third
Show.
Yeah. So she's like, oh, so when did you start doing? So I started explaining to my mom, and she was not opposed to it. It was just like, when are you going to tell us that this is what you're doing? So now that my folks knew what I was doing, I now just kind of got into it. But then now, apart from acting, I was doing a lot of singing. Now we'd moved from Valley Road to Parklands Baptist. And, you know, my pastor...
In Valley Road, were you like singing on stage as well? Were you part of the worship team?
I was part of a group called Fortress, the Fortress Youth Choir. So I was singing at Fortress Youth Choir. I got a solo once to do so, but mostly I was singing with the choir. I also auditioned at some point during that time. I auditioned for G21. That was for Youth for Christ.
I remember G21.
Yes.
On the way to Rongai, the event was there.
Yes. So at the time, I don't know if you remember, G21 would do, they would audition, I think, about 9 people and take them on tour to the US and things like that, if you remember that. So this opportunity came where they were looking for another bunch of people to do a tour in the US, and I thought, yeah, I think, you know, this is my opportunity. So again, I went for audition. I was never afraid to go for the audition. It was when I got there, that's when the trouble came. So I go for this audition, and you know, the leader at the time, I got instantly intimidated when I saw him. He was not. He was for, I'm not checking with anybody. This is serious business. Show us what you have come to do. And I was shaking like a leaf, but I was frustrated because I knew I could do it. And he says, if you're not able to sing looking at us, you can turn around and face the wall. I literally turned around and faced the wall and I sang.
Can you tell us who the guy was?
His name was, I think, Don Osman or something like that.
Okay.
I could have gotten the name wrong, but it was Don something. Anyway, so I did it and I sang and I was shaking and okay, thank you very much, and I left. And a few weeks after that, I remember going back to church to my youth pastor, and I told him I went for this audition. I was so discouraged because I was like, man, I bombed that audition. And he encouraged me. In fact, we went for a youth retreat and I forgot about it. A few weeks later, I get a response from Youth for Christ, and they're like, congratulations, you made it through the first round of auditions. Now you need to come for the second. I was like, no, I am not coming. I'm not coming. I'm not going through that again. It's okay. It's never that serious.
I don't need to go to Jew. It's okay.
Church. I don't need to go to America. It's fine. So I continued to serve at my youth church.
You didn't go back?
No, that was the end of it.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I thought you were going to change the story and tell me how you went and you went to Stato.
I was like, this dream was not for me.
What? I mean, part of the reason why I like sort of indulging on the story is sort of to understand. You've said how you were a bit intimidated and how that began changing in high school slightly, and even on stage. You know, you're not, and now even you're talking about now this experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go back to. You told us now you're going to Parklands Baptist.
Yes. So I'm actively serving in the youth. I'm a leader. I'm singing. I joined a group called Eneza. This was in the Big People Church. I was poached by my pastor Wellington. He said, no, we're underutilizing this gift. So I was poached into Big People's Church, and I was singing with Eneza. We were traveling around the country, singing at different places. It was such an enriching experience. I learned a lot from these people who are much older than me but were seasoned musicians.
Are there any musicians who are people who are still musicians who are in that Eneza time? So
maybe not in mainstream that you'd recognize them in that way, but one of the people was, I don't know if you've heard of the Uzele family.
Those are the gospel foundation of Kenya. Of course.
So
I know the youngest, Asaf Uzele, who's one of Kenya's best bassists.
Okay.
But Uzele family are
They're huge. Like
They need to be in the playhouse.
yes, please bring them to the playhouse because we had Manu was with us at Parklands Baptist. He played the guitar. He still does. Still such a great musician. Jonah Uzela later became one of my longest producers. I have so much respect for him. So they're there. They're just not in the circles that people recognize, right?
So those are the people who you were in this Eneza.
So in Eneza, we were mostly with Manu. And then my pastor Wellington, we were with another gentleman called Caris, who's also a really good guitarist and musician. And others. Okay. So I'm singing in Eneza. I've passed out on this other opportunity to go for Youth for Christ because I have a gift, but I was very timid. I was very, very timid. Now, a little while later, we get to, there comes an opportunity from this organization was called Passport Incorporated. They were from the US, based in Alabama. So they're holding a youth camp in Kenya, and they worked with an organization here called Africa Exchange, where they were coming with a bunch of kids from the US, and they wanted a bunch of kids from Kenya. Put them together, we were put at Brackenhurst. So, my youth pastor was like, Kambua, twende. So he got me in there and a few other of my friends, and we went for camp, and it was fantastic. We had a really good time. And then I remember the last night of camp was the talent night, and you guys sign up if you have something, you want to do a song or whatever. And I thought, okay, it's my chance. I never passed out on those opportunities, by the way. I took them.
Auditions, you're good.
I was good.
It's once you make
it's
it.
Thereafter. So I signed up to sing, and I prepared, I was going to sing It Is Well. So my time comes, and I'm called up, and I go and I sing this hymn, and I finished, and I just remember finishing. When I was done singing, there was, you know how youth camps are. We're rowdy, we're loud, we're whatever. But I finished singing, and there was pin drop silence in the room. And it also, first it unnerved me, like, what's going on? But there was like pin drop silence, and then there was some kids wiping tears and whatever. And I thought, okay, something special just happened in this room. And when I went back to sit down, and I'm trying to gather myself, the leader and his wife came up to me to where I was sitting, and they said, Kambua, we think you have a very special gift, and we are wondering if you'd like to come to the US and share that gift with other kids in the US. What? And I was like, yeah, it's okay, I'd love to. This was like literally, I don't even think it was more than 4 months after I had said no to the other opportunity to go to the US and tour. So I go back home and like, Mom, Daddy, there's this opportunity. And they're like, yeah, do it, go. So 2014, I was in the US. I landed in Alabama, green
2014?
2004. I'm sorry,
yeah.
2004. I landed in Alabama. I traveled with a friend of mine also, Patrick, who was asked to also go for the same program. We land just, as green as you can imagine. I have never been abroad. I'm just like, I remember thinking we're driving through Alabama, and I'm like, where are people? Like, people are not walking around. Where are they? Like.
It's not how the movies look.
Yes, it's not how the movies look. What's going on? Everything is so clean. What is this place? But so we did summer camp that year in the US. We worked summer camp, and it was a great experience. And I really started to feel there's something for me in this music. It feels like the music is just opening opportunities that I never thought are possible.
So when you say summer camp, explain to Nairobi.
Okay. So what happens with summer camp is, like the way, like I grew up in Wadi. We'd go to Word of Life here in Kenya, where it would be like this week, it's the teens aged will come for camp. And we'd have our leaders taking us through camp, and after the week we go home, and then the next week another group comes, maybe a different age group. So throughout the holidays, every week there's camp happening. Yeah. So now translate this to the US. Summer camp would happen during the summer period, the summer break. So a few months of camp, week after week after week. So my work, I was assigned as a Bible study leader, we'd meet different teams every week. There were different age groups or from different regions. We were mainly based in North Carolina for that first one, but then later on we started to move around in different states, because I went on to work with Passport even later in my college years.
Yeah.
So so that's basically what summer camp was. You'd come, they'd learn about the word of God, get to explore their gifts and talents, would do community work as well, just a full
I get it.
Yeah.
And so you're saying this experience, what would you say was a big takeout for you with this experience?
My takeout was just was that I do have something to offer, and if I can believe in myself, then this thing is going to open opportunities that I cannot even imagine. The world, literally, yeah. So so I come back to Kenya, and I get into university here.
Why did you go to university here?
I started at African Nazarene University.
Okay.
I say started because I did not finish.
And you said, what were you studying?
Business administration.
Not by choice.
The professor won.
Sawa. All props to him.
I love my
I
dad.
like that transition. I figured out this gift of music needs something. So what are you studying? Business administration.
Listen, you have to stay true to the cause. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me get you some cake.
Yum.
Okay, so Kambua, let's continue with this story. So you've come back, you're in African Nazarene, huh?
Yes.
The professor has won.
Yes.
Where does the story go on from this? So now you're studying business administration.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm studying business. So I started with, I need to just say this, it has no relevance to my story whatsoever. I started with a bridging semester of mathematics, because I failed math in high school terribly, because I hated math. I just hated, like, I would see numbers and just see, like, you know what I mean?
It gets blurry.
Yeah, so I never made any effort to do well in mathematics. So, and my dad would say, you need mathematics everywhere you go. I'm like, no, I don't think so. So anyway, here I am at Nazarene doing a full semester of mathematics alone. Oh my goodness. Anyway, finished it, you either pass or fail. There's no like a T, A, B, C. So I passed, thank God, and I started doing my business administration. So here's the thing, my grades were good, because I understood what it was, and I, to some extent, I'd say I appreciated and sort of enjoyed it. But I knew my heart was tugging me in a different direction. So, and I knew that because, so now at the university, I was actively singing, like performing. There's an event, it's chapel, I'm singing. So anybody on campus knew there's a girl called Kambua who sings.
And just so that I can understand, were you residential there?
Yes,
okay.
I was. I'd just come home on the weekends.
Okay.
So at the university, I really, really knew that music is what I want to do. Music is what's making me happy. Yeah, so I knew that I really, really want to do this music thing, and I want to do it seriously. On the off campus, I had started doing BGVs for people. So at this point, I happened to be, one of my classmates at the university is a friend of mine called Kavi, who happened to be Kambua Mathu's baby sister. So Kavi was and still is my bestie sana. She's like, Kambua, my sister is a mega singer. Would you like to do BVs for her? I'm like, yeah.
And just for I know you us music guys know what BVs are.
Okay, background vocals.
Yes.
So so she introduces me to Kambua Mathu audition, and I start doing backup vocals for their events.
Whoa.
So that's where I met Aaron Rimbui, I met Kongo, who used to play the bass, and just all these musicians.
What was their thing called again? Was it what?
There was those first Fridays, which I was not doing. They were called the Four Wings
Yes,
band. Yes. So we were gigging with them, and it was really such a fulfilling musical experience for me. I was literally gleaning from the greats. Kavu had been to Berkeley, and she should sing things which me I had never had, you know. So I was learning a lot. I was also doing BGVs for River Road artists. Why are you laughing, Esther?
No. How? You're Oko from Westie. How did you even get into that space?
So I'm actually trying to remember the genesis of this, but I think part of it had to do with the Uzeles I was meeting,
yes,
the
okay.
Carices. They started to introduce me to other artists, mainstream artists, people who are working in River Road. And I remember this is the most interesting one, is that I did BVs even in Kikuyu. You'd go to studio and you're told this is what you're singing, you're taught and you sing. I don't even know what I'm singing. So what's funny is years later, I remember one time being in the US and bumping into this lady, and she's like, Kambua, my name is Wanja. You did backup vocals for me. In Siji, which year, 2000 and what? My first Kikuyu album. I'm like, wow, look at that.
So I need to, you know, there's something that you've said here which is huge.
Yes.
I want us to sort of go back to this space. This, first and foremost, for you to do BGVs means you started earning off music.
Yes.
You
Yes,
get paid.
It was very minimal, but yes, I was getting paid. The concept was there.
And also now you're being introduced into the industry of music.
Yes.
So the thing that for me is huge there, you have entered a studio.
Yes, I entered a studio.
Like, can we talk about like the first time that you entered the studio?
So when the first time I entered a studio, and I think I could be wrong, but I think the first one was at Kasangas, because a lot of the artists in River Road used to record at Kasangas. So the concept was very different from what it is now. We'd go into studio, you're all given, everybody has a mic, the soprano, the alto, the whoever. You've all been taught the song, you've learned, you know your parts. Yes. Are you ready? Yes. Start, go.
No stopping.
No stopping. And you go if someone messes up, we all start again. Yeah. So, but I was loving it. I was really loving it. And I started being called to do backup for many other people. It started giving me the experience that I hadn't gotten in the other spaces. This is now experience of being a studio, a recording artist. I then started to I met people like Gidi Kimanzi. I met him because I went into his studio as a backup artist for an artist called Bahati Gatere.
When we were setting up the price list, there was something that was called direct recording. Oh, see, what is this direct recording? So no, this is a recording where you record straight onto the DAT. DAT is the digital audio tape, which is what used to hold masters. So, come again? Yes, you record straight into DAT. What do you mean? You mix as you go. Hakuna you record and then mix and then master, then no. So one, the musicians have to be on point. They have to sing on key.
There's no take two.
There's no, I was a little flat to take a auto tune. That rubbish was not there. But yeah, no, just auto tune, it should be fine. Because what you're singing is what is ending up as you sang it, not at it edited with none of that. The musicians have to be.
Oh, this is live.
It's not. There's live, then there's direct recording.
No, what I mean when I said they're coming there with musicians,
Yes.
it's not at the.
Most times is programmed drums, so the beats are going. So guitar inaingia, bass inaingia, keys inaingia, lead anaingia, BGVs wanaingia, stereo feed.
So, I meet Gidi and what
Kambua, you're an OG. Like you've been in the game from. Guys think you just started with Konishiki. That is way back.
It's way back when.
Okay, so I had to cut you short right there. So you get in the studio with Gideon Kimanzi.
So yeah, I get into the studio with Gideon Kimanzi, and I remember doing backup for this artist who also became a friend of mine. And after we were done doing the project, Gidi goes like, in Gidi words, Gidi's words are usually few.
I know.
But in Giddy words, he said, you have something. There's something that you have, and I want to see where we can take it. So can you make time and come? Let's record something for you. And I'm like, yeah,
What?
you know. So that's how I started working with Gideon Kimanzi. My first album has maybe one or two tracks that Gideon Kimanzi did.
Okay, let's talk about now.
Yeah.
This is so Giddy calls you and tells you come and work on your own song.
Yes.
Before this, had you written your own songs?
I had never. Okay, so I had written my own songs, but they were not the kind of songs that I was ready to take to a studio. I felt like, and this is the one area in my artistry that I've had to grow into. I felt like my songwriting was not good. I would write my songs, and because of the influence I had of the kind of music, the bulk of the music I'd listened to, I'd feel like, why am I writing a song that sounds like integrity music? And I wanted to be heard in Africa, like as an African song.
I get, because you said after high school you started falling in love with this African artist.
Yes, so I'm like, it's not good. They're not, my songs are not chomokai, like, you know.
I get.
The sound is not the sound that I'm wanting to gravitate towards. So, so even when I started working with Giddy, he did a lot of the songwriting for and with me.
Can you remember the first song that you actually jumped in studio to record?
The first song I jumped into studio to record was, okay, so it was there was a competition that Radio Waumini put out. They said, we're looking for a peace song. Can all singers submit a song? And I thought, okay, here's my chance. So I looked for, at this time I had been introduced through Parklands Baptist. I had met the late Peter Kaberere. And Kabs was a great songwriter from way back when. I said, Kaberere, there's this opportunity, can you help me? So he helped me write.
And Kaberere at this time was in Jogsy. Was he really a musician?
He was in Jogsy.
Okay.
He was in Jogsy. So Kaberere helped me write a chorus to a song, and then I built the rest of it from there. And I went to studio. That's the first song that I recorded. Where was this song recorded, A-Star? I tend to think it was Jonah Uzele who recorded it. It was Jonah, actually. Jonah, at that time, was working at Bruce Odhiambo's studio.
Yes.
So we recorded the song. It was called Amani. It was the first time I recorded a Kambua song, and I submitted it to Radio Waumini. And so I'm now thinking, here's the back and forth where my dates was so weird all over the place, because I submitted it to Radio Waumini, and then I remember being out of the country. That's the time I was in the US. So as I'm in America, my mom calls me and she says, your song won. I'm like, what are you talking about? Your song won. Okay, what did I win? You won 50,000.
What?
Esther, do you understand how much money 50,000 Kenya shillings was
then?
in 2004? It was a whole lot of money.
What?
So I come back to Kenya rich.
So now, okay, so this time when you're, no, but when you had gone to the US, you had gone for now this thing that you're telling us about.
Yes,
the summer camp.
Yes, it was the time for the summer camp. So now when I come back, I have this money, which I needed to do more Kambua songs. So I now go to Jonah and I tell him, I really, really want to do music, like my music, but I don't really know how to write. And but I know what I want to say. So I remember talking to Jonah through a lot of the things that I was going through at the time. And one of the primary things being that I'd had a very ill father during that time. During from end of primary school, getting into high school. High school was really, really tough for my family. All the way getting into college, I remember it being a season of years of struggle, financial struggle. And that's like, I feel my life is such a huge testimony, because I went to the US with my parents not having a shilling to their name. Wow. And I was not old enough to have a bank account, you know. And so it was always like, God was always ahead of me with everything. So
So even then, winning this 15,000 was huge.
You don't understand how huge it was. That's why I'm saying I came back rich.
Yeah, it could finance your dream.
Exactly. So when I go to Jonah and I'm now able to afford us to pay for a song, pay for studio, and I tell him this is the situation we've been in. And the reason why the situation felt so tough for me was I was singing at church, I was singing at all these places, and people would come and tell me, oh my gosh, you sang and you blessed me, you lifted my spirit. The situation in my home has changed. And I'm thinking the situation in our home is not changing, it's getting worse. And it was it was a place where my faith got a question a lot of things. So anyway, so I explained this to Jonah, and that's when Jonah Uzele, and I'm glad I can get on camera and say this, that Jonah Uzele wrote Nishikilie.
What?
Yes.
Wewe ni nguzo yangu, wewe kimbilio langu, mwanga wangu, baba yangu. Nikikimbia nimkimbilie nani? Nikilia nimlilie nani? Nikianguka nani aniamshaye? Nikilala nani anilindaye? Nishikilie, niongoze mbali na waovu, Baba nionyeshe njia zako, nami nitazifuata milele. Nishikilie, nishikilie, nishikilie. Gongo lako na fimbo yako yanifariji.
So he writes Nishikilie, which we got from the 23rd Psalm. And then he produced it together with a gentleman called Desmond Bosire.
Yep, I know Desmond Bosira.
Yes. So they do this track for me, and I go in to record it. And because of now the experience I'd had in those studios recording with the River Road artists, but these guys have some mad experience because you know the way we go into studio, fanya verse 1, now get ready for verse 2. Because of that experience of doing 20.
One take, yes.
I got it in, and Jonah said, okay, press play, are you ready? Yes. Nishikilie was a one-take song.
What?
And I also learned, even working with Jonah, he taught me that sometimes what sounds like a mistake to me is not a mistake. When you listen to the music, you appreciate how authentic it was, you know. So you can sing sometimes and your voice cracks a little bit. But then we want to perfect. Acha nirudie your part. Jonah taught me to, no, let it go, you know. Let it be what it is. So that
crack carries some authenticity and
there's
emotion.
There's a life, yes, there's an emotion it carries that you might not be able to capture by trying to perfect it. So we did Nishikilie, and then now, can we go back to African Nazarene University?
Yes. In fact, before we go to African Nazarene University, let me shock you.
Okay.
So, and I want you to explain this.
Okay.
So there's a lady I know back in the day when I was at Kijiji.
Yeah.
And I had her hard drive, and I'm going to the hard drive scene footage. Her name is Kathy G. And she shows me a video by a lady called Kambua.
You saw that video? Like the only Kenyan who saw that video.
I think I am. So funny, when I wanted to interview, I have looked for that video.
You didn't find it?
Nothing.
Praise the Lord. Who causes me to triumph?
You know, because when she showed, Kambua has just come back. Of course, I saw it much later when you've come back. You haven't released Nishikile. You probably won even a Groove Award. But I'm looking, I'm like, who on earth is this? Is not Kambua. There's night and day difference. Can we talk about that experience? Or was that after?
No, so
that's the story you were trying to hide, eh?
Actually, no, it's good that you reminded me about this story. Kat Gates was introduced to me by Jonah. She happened to be very good friends with Jonah. And, you know, he's on to tell me, let's shoot a video for you. I have a friend who, Kathy had just moved from the US. She had lived in California for a very long time and was doing film, Hollywood, whatever. So she's come back to Kenya and she wants to shoot videos. So we met. And so there was a song, one of my songs was called Nimeokoka. And she said, yeah, let's shoot a video for this song. So why I laugh and why I'm like, may that video never see light on. It was a Parklands Baptist.
Yes.
My dancers were a group called 501.
501?
Yes.
Working Alex?
Yes.
Mutu wa Matheka?
Yes. Those are my dancers. So why I'm like, okay. So a part of me sometimes is like, I really would love to see that video. You know, I'd love to see where I started. But why I kind of just felt like, watch a trip potele kwenye lipotelea, is I remember, you know, us having this conversation of, you know, you need to just be as natural as possible. As natural as possible, just come as you are, you know, kind of thing. Akukua makeup.
Let me tell you, your video in night and day. I'm going to look for it. Katiji, please. I hope you have it.
That's a real kuparara, like. I don't know who lied to me. That was not a good idea. You know, when people say, I woke up like this, they usually have done a lot to look like.
But then let me tell you, Kambua is not lying. When I tell you I looked at that video, I was like, Kambua has come from far.
Far.
It's so funny. I'm glad I remember that video.
I'm glad you don't have it. Listen, so it was my very first video.
Yes.
And, you know, we distributed it like KBCs, Juhu. For some reason, honestly, God has always been on my side. That video potead every.
We're going to find that.
You won't find it.
So you just came as you are. You approached the throne of grace. Okay, so that's what. Okay, now I've understood that story of that video. It was funny. What is the name of that song, by the way?
It's called Nimeokoka.
Nimeokoka. Okay, we can go back to Nazarene now.
Let me just sip my tea.
Okay, sir. We'll come back.